Hamas can surrender tonight if they want, lay down their weapons. The problem is they're a terrorist group, a barbaric group, whose stated mission is the destruction of the Jewish state, so we're not counting on that from happening. Look, I think we would all, every single person I know, I don't know of anyone who would not rather see a negotiated settlement in which Hamas agrees to no longer be a terrorist group, lay down their arms, free the hostages, by the way, not just the hostages that they're holding from Israel, but frankly, the people of Gaza that they're also holding hostage as human shields. So that would be the ideal outcome, one we would all like to see. It's one that's been worked on. But I think we have to be prepared for the fact that savage, terrorists don't normally agree to things like that. But we'll continue to pursue that route. It's the ideal outcome, but it may require, ultimately, a concise military operation to eliminate them. We have to remember who we're dealing with here, and that is a group of people that have dedicated their lives to violence and barbarism. And when you're confronting that hard reality, as much as we may wish that there be a sort of a peaceful diplomatic way to end it, and we'll continue to explore and be dedicated to it, we also have to be prepared for the possibility that that's not going to happen.
I've said repeatedly that Israel's decision to act against the Hamas terrorist leadership in Qatar was a wholly independent decision by Israel. It was a decision taken by me and our top security force chiefs. It was conducted by us, and we assumed full responsibility for it because we believe that terrorists should not be given a haven, and the people who planned the worst massacre of the Jewish people since the Holocaust cannot have immunity. So we did it on our own, period.
All I would add is that we are focused on what happens now, what happens next, what role can Qatar play possibly in reaching an outcome here that leads not just to the end of this hostilities, not just to the release of all of the hostages, both living and deceased, not just the disarmament and elimination of Hamas, but also a better future for the people of Gaza, which isn't possible as long as Hamas exists, which isn't possible as long as 48 hostages are being held. And so we're going to continue to encourage Qatar to play a constructive role in that regard. We're focused because at the end of the day, no matter what has happened, these fundamentals still remain. There is still a Hamas, there is still 48 hostages, and there is still a war going on. And all of these things standing in the way of a better future for the people of Gaza and a peaceful end to what's happening now. So we're going to remain focused on what we can do next.
What are we trying to do in Gaza? You say we're bringing down those towers to intimidate people? We're not bringing down those towers to intimidate people. Those towers are serving as Hamas strongholds. But what we're doing is we're telling the population, because we're going to take over and destroy the Hamas stronghold, they're one of the last two strongholds and the most important one that Hamas has left in the Gaza Strip. We ask you to leave. And what is Hamas doing? They're asking them to stay because they want to use them as human shields, as they've done from the beginning of the war. And we say, leave, please leave. Do leave, fast, and as fast as you can. And that's what we're doing right now. Hamas is not only telling them, don't leave, but in previous occasions, including a few weeks ago, they shoot them. They shoot women and children in the legs, beginning with the legs, then they go higher if it doesn't work, to keep them in harm's way. So I think that to the extent that the world again is falsely condemning Israel, they should get their priorities and their facts right. It is Israel that is trying to clear the combat zones from civilians. It's Hamas that's trying to keep them in. So we'll continue to do what we can to make sure that they're out of harm's way, and we'll complete our mission, which is to free all our hostages, get them all back, and make sure that Hamas is eliminated.
And on the assessment of the impact of the strike, whether the leadership was killed in Doha?
Well, we're still getting the final reports. I'll tell you what the impact of the strike is. We sent a message to the terrorists. You can run, but you can't hide, and we'll get you. Hamas, that the raid failed. Didn't fail because it had one central message, and we considered it before we launched it. And that is, you can hide, you can run, but we'll get you. You can, and this is important. I mean, terrorists enjoy they think they enjoy immunity, they'll do it again and again and again. And if you deny them that immunity, they'll think twice.
These things that people are doing and these different countries are doing at the United Nations, first of all, they're largely being done because of their own domestic politics. Second of all, they're largely symbolic. They have really no impact whatsoever in bringing us any closer to a Palestinian state. The only impact they actually have is it makes Hamas feel more emboldened. It makes other elements like Hamas feel more emboldened. It actually has made it harder. It's actually served as an impediment to peace. In the past, we have seen when these statements have come out, you know, maybe there's a negotiation going on. Maybe you think you've actually made some progress on getting some hostages released or an end to the war. And then these things come out, and all of a sudden these groups back off. In many cases, walk away. Hamas has walked away from agreements that they actually had tacitly agreed to. But then they see the sort of international support they believe they're getting as and they walk away from it. So we've warned of two things. One, it actually makes it harder to negotiate when those negotiations were occurring, and because it emboldens these groups. And the second is we've warned them that there will be an Israeli counter-reaction to those moves, and we've seen some of that happen as well. So I think these things have actually made it harder to end this war and this conflict, not easier. And we've expressed that to them. I've expressed that to them directly on multiple occasions, and I'll continue to do it. Now, they're going to do what they want, and they're going to continue to do what they're doing, but I'm telling you, it's actually hurting the cause. What the president has repeatedly said, he wants every single hostage released. He wants Hamas eliminated as a threat, and he wants to then have the United States be helpful in rebuilding Gaza for the future that's going to be peaceful and prosperous, and not have elements like Hamas operating. That's the goal. Now, how do we achieve that? How do we get there? That's what we're always talking about. That's what we talked about today. And that's going to continue to be the focus of our engagement in this. We want all of the hostages out. All of them. Every single one of them, both living and deceased, all of them. There should never have been hostages. This should never have happened. Okay? This happened because on October 7th, these animals, these barbaric animals, conducted this operation, and against innocent people that had nothing to do with any of this. And that's why this all started. We've forgotten that. People have forgotten that that's where this all began. That's why the president keeps saying, remember October 7th. We wouldn't even be having these conversations right now if these barbarians had not done what they did. So this is what brought us to this point. It needs to end. And how does it end? It ends by eliminating the people who did it, by ending them as a threat. It ends by releasing every single hostage, both living and deceased. There should never have been a hostage. There should not be a hostage now. And then, when all of that is done, then we can begin the work, I hope, internationally, to providing the people of Gaza the kind of future that they deserve, but that they will never have as long as a group like Hamas exists.
Thank you for watching CNBC-TV18, and do follow us on all our social media platforms for news, updates and more.